My name is Clara, and I am 78 years old. I want to tell you something nobody told me when I was young. I got married when I was 22 years old. Life was very different then. I was taught that a good woman did not ask for much. She took care of others. She stayed quiet. She did what was needed. For most of my life, I believed that being a good woman meant saying yes to everyone. I said yes to my husband, my children, my parents, my friends, and my boss. I thought this was love. I thought this was strength. Now I know I was wrong. I spent almost 60 years trying to be perfect. I tried to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect daughter, and the perfect worker. I married a kind man. He worked hard and provided for our family. I loved him, and I know he loved me. I supported his career and held our home together. I smiled when I was supposed to smile and stayed quiet when I was supposed to stay quiet. I did what I believed was right. I was not unhappy, but I was not fully happy either. Late at night, when the house was quiet, a small voice inside me asked, "Is this all my life will be?" Each time that thought came, I pushed it away. I felt guilty for thinking about myself. I believed wanting more meant being selfish. When I was 35, I finally spoke out loud. I told my husband, I want to go back to school. I love literature. I want to teach. He looked at me and said, "We can't afford it now. The children need you. Maybe later." So I waited. Years passed. When the children grew older, I asked again. He said, "I'm thinking about retirement now. We need to help my parents. Maybe in a few years." So I waited again. Every few years, the dream returned. When I saw teachers on television or walked past a school, my heart felt heavy. I imagined myself holding a book, standing in front of students, sharing stories. Then I remembered my responsibilities, and the dream slowly faded. When I was 55, his parents passed away. I thought, now it's my turn. But then our daughter got divorced and needed help with her children. I told myself, how can I think about myself when my family needs me? So I waited again. Then, when I was 71, my husband passed away after 42 years of marriage. The house became very quiet. There were no footsteps, no questions, no plans. I ate alone and slept alone. Some days, I did not speak to anyone at all. I realized that for 60 years my identity had been wrapped around other people, and now there was nothing left to hold on to. I was scared not only because I missed him, but because I did not know who I was without caring for someone else. I had been someone's wife and someone's mother for so long that I had never learned how to be just myself. About a year and a half later, I found a letter my husband had written before we married. In it, he wrote about my intelligence and my curiosity. He said he was excited to see what I would do in life. I sat on the floor holding that letter and cried. I cried because I realized I had slowly buried that young woman and her dreams. I had told myself I was being selfless, when in truth, I had been disappearing. At 72, I made a decision. I said to myself, it is not too late. I was afraid. I wondered what people would think. I wondered if I would fail. I wondered if I was too old. But another voice inside me asked, what if you never try? That voice was stronger. I joined a community college and began studying literature, art history, and philosophy. Young students sat around me with laptops and notebooks. For the first time in decades, I felt alive. I also began traveling. At first, I took small trips to nearby places I had always wanted to see. Later, I traveled farther. I walked slowly. I looked around carefully. I was no longer rushing through life. I was finally living it. The hardest lesson was learning to say no. When my children called and asked for help, sometimes I said, I'm sorry, I already have plans. One day my daughter said, you have changed. I smiled and said, yes, I have. And I needed to. She did not fully understand, but she respected my choice. That was enough. Now, I am 78 years old, and I finally know who I am. I am not only someone's wife or someone's mother. I am a woman who loves books, art, and quiet mornings. I enjoy my own company. I travel when I want and rest when I need to. I say yes when I mean yes, and I say no without guilt. But my heart still hurts. I spent 60 years putting myself last. I spent 60 years waiting for permission that never came. I cannot get those years back. Sometimes I imagine speaking to my younger self. I would hold her hands and say, please don't disappear. Please don't wait your whole life. You matter too. You are not selfish for having dreams. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. Life never becomes quiet. There will always be another responsibility, another reason to wait. Please don't make my mistake. Don't wait for permission. Your life is not practice. This is your real life, and it is happening today.